But I think it's not so much having something to do with me that turned the tide. I mean, the reason to put the information out there is just because of who he is. It's the truth. I just know one thing, like Justin is really is a great guy. I wish this was more about him and less about, negativity, frankly.
Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's relationship crumbled before everyone's eyes, but the reasons remained a mystery until now. Attorney Bryan Freedman has just revealed explosive evidence that uncovers the truth behind this Hollywood feud. In the next few minutes, you'll learn the exact moment Blake turned against Justin, the intense power struggle behind closed doors, and the shocking behavior Freedman says drove her over the edge. This is the real story Hollywood has been trying to keep hidden.
You being accused of something that you just didn't do, you just weren't part of, and you're caught up in this, and you're a real decent human being, and this is a powerful thing that you're going through, and your whole career seems to have been gone and vanished before your very eyes.
Here are the key terms that I think are important to go through as we go through what's happening. Baldoni, who's the star and director, got the rights to this movie, okay? So he was the one who found it all, and he was the one who was getting it into the world. Many competing studios wanted it. He has the rights. He was able to not only get the rights, but then when he made the film, direct it, which was always part of the plan, but then also got to star in it as it became popular on his own. So he's a star director, and he makes this movie, and now all this stuff happens. Now, to add to it, he's apparently hired Melissa Nathan, a crisis PR manager who specializes in reputation management. In fact, she represented Johnny during the Amber Heard trial, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Hollywood Reporter sources also said that there was a fracture amongst the filmmakers in post-production, and that Lively, who was a producer on the film as well, commissioned her own cut of the film from editor Shane Reed, who was the editor on Husband, Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, and Wolverine. It's pretty massive. Like, yo, dude, I'm going to make my own cut and use my husband's editor on a better film. But yeah, we'll be back in touch. But let's see if we can make a better movie. Now, sources also say that's not rare in Hollywood for multiple cuts to be done, but for the star to take it and do her own cut, who won? Which cut did we see? So it's created a lot of questions as to, well, what did that actually mean? Now, fans on social media also noticed that Lively and Baldoni have not been seen together at all. They've been doing press for the movie, and they're always separated, always doing different things. They're never together. They also analyzed the social media and noticed Baldoni follows Hoover, the author, and Lively, while neither of them are following him back. Other cast members have also been seen not following him, which they were previously. Lively said Reynolds wrote one scene that is reportedly a fan favorite from the book, sparking speculation about whether there were disputes with Baldoni over creative control. Multiple unnamed sources told Hollywood Reporter that Reynolds did not write the entire scene. So the rumors are Reynolds came in, was rewriting a lot of the movie. It's been confirmed he helped a bit. Justin's confirmed this. Did he come in and write more? Now, again, I don't know if Ryan was trying to cause conflict there. He's trying to help his wife's movie. Maybe she felt certain ways. I ain't mad at that. But was there stepping on toes is what the issue is. Lively told Hits Radio about the clash she sat on set, which she said she is not supposed to be talking about, though she did not specify who it is with, claiming they begged her to remove a Lana Del Rey song from the film. Baldoni told Elle on Monday that there's always friction that happens when you make a movie like this, but that friction is what creates beautiful art. It's true. Forbes has reached out to representatives, and no, nothing has.
For years, Blake Lively has been America's golden girl, the stunning actress who rose to fame on Gossip Girl, later transforming herself into Hollywood royalty through a fairy tale marriage to Ryan Reynolds, adorable children, and a string of lifestyle brands that made her seem both aspirational and relatable. Her Instagram feed paints a picture of perfect balance: glamorous red carpets one day, homemade cookies the next. She appeared to have mastered it all effortlessly. But according to powerhouse attorney Bryan Freedman, that flawless image concealed a starkly different reality, one that allegedly unfolded behind the scenes of It Ends With Us, the film adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel. What was supposed to be Lively's triumphant return to the big screen, Freedman claims, instead became a stage for shocking behavior that shattered her carefully curated public persona. In early interviews promoting the film, Lively praised her collaboration with director and co-star Justin Baldoni. She shared cheerful behind-the-scenes photos and spoke warmly about bringing Hoover's beloved story to life. "Justin and I have such similar visions for this project," she told Entertainment Weekly last year. "We're completely in sync." Freedman alleges, however, that these statements were deliberately misleading, a calculated performance to preserve her squeaky clean reputation. The first cracks in this united front were subtle. Sharp-eyed fans noticed that Lively and Baldoni rarely promoted the film together. Press junkets featured them separately, and their social media accounts showed little interaction. Cancelled appearances soon followed, leaving solo Lively promotions while Baldoni mysteriously stayed away. Her team attributed this to scheduling conflicts, but Freedman's bombshell claims suggest something far more dramatic. Relations between the stars had deteriorated so severely that Lively allegedly refused to be in the same room as Baldoni. The Blake Lively the public knows and loves is a carefully constructed character, Freedman said during an explosive press conference last week. "Behind the cameras, my client encountered someone completely different, someone who wielded her dual role as both star and producer to systematically undermine the director's authority." Freedman detailed multiple instances where Lively's actions allegedly contradicted her public statements. While she publicly praised the collaborative environment, he claimed she was privately sending emails demanding script changes without consulting Baldoni. She celebrated the film's faithfulness to the book, all while reportedly forcing major plot revisions against his creative judgment. Perhaps most damning were allegations regarding her treatment of crew members. "She presents herself as everyone's best friend," Freedman said, but multiple witnesses had described how she created a hostile environment for anyone perceived as being in Baldoni's camp. According to Freedman, the core issue on set was a massive power imbalance. Lively allegedly exploited her unique dual role as both star and producer to gradually seize creative control from Baldoni. "My client entered this project expecting true collaboration," Freedman explained. Instead, he found himself working with someone who viewed her producer title as a license to override his directorial decisions whenever she disagreed with him. This behind-the-scenes dynamic, Freedman claims, turned what should have been a harmonious creative process into a battlefield, revealing a side of Blake Lively that had remained hidden from the public eye.
They've lost 4 projects, significant projects, the studio. There's obviously the reputational and emotional distress harm. He's got 2 little kids that pay attention to what goes on in the world. His wife is devastated, and there's others involved in this too that have lost significant business and personal relationships.
I've said it a million times that you raised the Titanic in this case, because but for Bryan Freedman, Justin Baldoni would have been crushed in this matter. And that's where it was headed. And it was headed for him to be crushed. When you see the kinds of things that were left on the cutting room floor, literally, in that New York Times article, it's infuriating.
But that's against the New York Times. And I get that, and that is kind of separate. I guess what I'm wondering is if Blake Lively, the last thing she wants is to take the stand. She doesn't want her husband to take the stand. She doesn't want Taylor Swift to take the stand, nor do they want to take the stand. So if they came to you and just said, we will basically call this a massive misunderstanding, can we just drop it? Would you entertain it? I'm curious.
I mean, he was called a sexual predator. So are they saying he's still a sexual predator, but it's a misunderstanding?
Harvey, when you're in the middle of representing one of these people who's in the eye of a storm, and Bryan's done it a zillion times, I've done it a fair amount of times, you need to be vindicated, because at the end of the day, you're not, no amount of money will get you back to square zero. To your point, Harvey, as many people didn't know Baldoni as they knew Lively. However, Lively, be careful what you wish for, has, the public has gone full Amber Heard on her. And Baldoni could have been defined, as Bryan just said, as the sexual predator, but for the magnificent job he's done here. So, it's a horrible body blow to have to take and have, can't leave your house. I don't know, and I haven't asked you this, Bryan, but I'm going to assume he's got round the clock security and his family's had to be relocated and the whole bit.
I mean, there's certainly that invasion of privacy that goes on, but I think it's not so much having something to do with me that turned the tide. I mean, the reason to put the information out there is just because of who he is. It's the truth. It's just the truth, and the reality is that had there been these horrible things, and had there been these horrible text messages, had there been this horrible information, that stuff would have been put out there too.
Bryan Freedman is doing his job. This is what he does. It's a winning strategy, and he pretty much can't lose at this point, it seems, because Blake's been unable to provide anything realistic. She thinks she has it all, but sources are saying that no, she does not. There's so much more that Baldoni and Freedman have on Lively. They just gave a taste on the website. They're showing a little ankle, but not the whole leg, if you know what I mean. I'm sure she wouldn't approve of that reference. Too sexist. The reason? Freedman is going to annihilate Lively on the stand during depositions. She thinks she knows what they have, everything that's on the website, so she can prepare for that, but she can't prepare for what she doesn't know they have. And again, they have a lot. According to the sources, they have troves more of stuff that has not been seen publicly, emails, text calls, videos. If you think Blake looked shocked during SNL, wait till you see her face during deposition. Justin kept everything. Now, why? Why would he have kept everything? That's a good question. Well, did you think he did something wrong? Or could the, interactions on set have been so uncomfortable for some, it was just because of the way he is culturally with his religion? I want to go through some of these pieces because hear me out. Here it is. So from the outset, the feud's been framed as the newest chapter in Hollywood's ongoing fight for gender equality. It's rekindled this dormant debate about SH and power dynamics, and we'll see how it plays out, but there's another possibility, one that has less to do with gender than it does with simple cultural misunderstandings. What if much of it, the alleged inappropriate hugging, which Blake mentioned in her new amended suit, the pre-filming praying, could be explained as a clash between a very specific faith-driven community with its unique mores and a much more modern post-Me Too one with its own set of beliefs and commandments? It's a good point. It's a good question. They went through and interviewed many people, past colleagues, etc., and people in the faith and people of Justin's background, and they talked about it. They went into more detail. Speaking to someone, the Justin that I know isn't capable of doing the things that he's accused of doing because he truly sees himself as this feminist. But Blake clearly got grossed out. I honestly feel like it was the perfect storm of two opposing personalities. When Baldoni and Wayfair execs hold meetings, they often start by asking participants to go around the table and share something private, something that brings them joy and has nothing to do with their jobs or their career. In certain professional circles, like those of yoga instructors or doulas, this type of icebreaker might be welcomed, but among time-crunched agents, entertainment lawyers, studio execs, Blake Lively's, folks not exactly known for their touchy-feely ways, a gesture like this nature comes with risks. In my head, I was like, I'm sorry, are we at Cafe Effing Gratitude? Said a female executive at a production company who sat down with Wayfair executives last year, including Baldoni. Why are you imposing your culture on this meeting that's being held at our offices? I can't explain exactly why, but it made me so uncomfortable. Speaking about more, even before It Ends With Us, Baldoni wasn't afraid to interject elements of his religion on the set. He did talk about his religion a lot, says a source, on 5 Feet Apart. This had shades of Scientology, but with less of the prominence and people hovering at the times. I think that's being mean. Nothing I've done makes it anywhere near the criminal accusations and things that Scientology does, so nipping that in the bud. No one's proved that at all.
While Freedman's initial statements outlined general tension on set, what he revealed next pinpoints the exact moment when professional disagreements allegedly morphed into personal animosity. According to Freedman, there was a pivotal day during filming that became the breaking point, fracturing the relationship beyond repair. Freedman explained that Lively and Baldoni had begun their collaboration positively during pre-production. My client found Miss Lively engaged and collaborative, Freedman stated. Both reportedly shared a vision for honoring Colleen Hoover's work while bringing complex characters to life. Multiple crew sources allegedly confirmed that the early filming days showed promise, with both stars appearing comfortable in their roles, on and off camera. However, this professional harmony reportedly collapsed during the filming of an emotionally charged scene between their characters, Lily and Riley. Freedman claims the turning point occurred when Baldoni arrived on set to find significant script revisions to a pivotal intimate scene, changes made without his prior knowledge or input. These alterations, Freedman alleges, went beyond dialogue tweaks. Lively had supposedly reworked the entire emotional arc, adjusting character motivations and physical blocking that Baldoni had meticulously planned with the cinematographer. When Baldoni attempted to discuss the changes and suggest returning to the originally approved script, Freedman claims Lively's response was immediate and severe. "I'm not just talent on this film. I'm a producer with final say on how my character is portrayed," she allegedly stated. The discussion quickly escalated beyond professional bounds when, according to Freedman, she reportedly suggested that perhaps Baldoni wasn't the right person to tell the story if he couldn't understand her vision for the character. What made this confrontation particularly explosive, Freedman alleges, is that it occurred in front of several key crew members, who were reportedly stunned by the intensity of the exchange. Multiple witnesses allegedly saw Lively walk off set after declaring that nothing would be filmed until her version of the scene was accepted. Freedman stated production was halted for nearly 3 hours as producers attempted to mediate the aftermath. Following the incident, Freedman claims the production environment was fundamentally altered. Crew members were allegedly placed in uncomfortable positions, forced to choose sides. Department heads reportedly were instructed to report directly to Lively with creative concerns, bypassing the traditional chain of command that would involve the director. Those perceived as aligned with Baldoni, Freedman stated, were allegedly excluded from key creative meetings. Even more telling, according to Freedman, were the drastic changes to the shooting schedule. Scenes that would normally require close collaboration between actors and director were restructured, so that Lively often filmed her portions separately, with the second unit director present instead of Baldoni. This, Freedman alleges, significantly disrupted the production workflow and reinforced a division that lingered throughout filming. In Freedman's account, what had begun as a professional partnership turned into a power struggle, with Lively asserting control over the set, the script, and ultimately the creative vision, leaving Baldoni sidelined despite his directorial authority. The incident, he claims, set the tone for an escalating pattern of tension, factionalism among the crew, and production challenges that plagued the project from that point forward.
Talk about this because, yeah, Blake Lively's attorney is now warning content creators that are parroting Justin Baldoni's lines. It all comes in this document that we did talk about. I think this came out yesterday during the live, which if you missed yesterday's live with Zach, we had a wonderful time with Zach Peter. Hope to get him back. But I want to go through some of this because there's so much nonsense in this doc. And as Deadline here does sort of break down very well, it's just so much back and forth where ultimately they're just trying to agree on protective orders, which there should be some sort of protective order. No one's denying that, but no one wants to give. And honestly, Blake's asking for too much, in my opinion. She wants all celebrity correspondence to be private. It's called AEO, which is attorney's eyes only. All sort of private mentions from celebrities, etc., should be only for the attorneys. It's like, girl, no. You published his text messages. Can we just hold on, Blake? You published his text messages in a complaint that wasn't even a lawsuit and then gave it to the New York Times before you filed it officially. You're despicable and a massive hypocrite. And so now you're complaining about privacy? Oh, this is such an important private matter. You were on Saturday Night Live letting your husband make a mockery of your whole thing. Oh, is there something that's going on? Yeah, there's something going on. And you shouldn't have been there cracking jokes about it. I'm sure they could have seen you at the other studio and you could have enjoyed the night without being on television. But you guys couldn't help yourself. So you want to have all the abilities to go online, defend yourself, publicly mock, do whatever you want. But when you want it to be private, you just get to decide that it's not how it works. And I imagine the judge is going to start getting frustrated because no one's agreeing to any side of anything. They just refuse to meet in the middle. And so there's a few parts in this document that I think are really important to talk about, including, yes, calling out content creators, but trying to there's a lot of legal speak, etc. Leaving aside the callous disregard and disrespect for a woman, advocating for the most basic workplace protections against SH. Debatable, Blake. The Wayfarer Party's position that a woman who speaks up against SH has somehow waived any and all privacy interests shows the futility of future conferral. Well, no, it doesn't. It's incredibly important that all this go up because you published a lot of this publicly. This is beyond just the complaint. You published it to the New York Times and you defamed him and disparaged him, and he disagrees with you. I don't agree that all SH claims moving forward should be put in a silent, quiet chamber where we must believe the woman. Are you nuts? Are you nuts? You made this a public battle, and now it is a public battle, and Justin has every right to fight this publicly to clear his name, because you have a lot of things you refuse to take accountability for. Talking about how the edit has nothing to do with this. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. A lot of this has a lot to do with everything. So anyway, she's trying to claim that because they've spoken out or intend to speak out against Wayfarer, they've forfeit their privacy rights. You kind of did. The women who raised SH claims were waive any privacy rights has no legal support, and it's directly contrary to sites cated. So they're trying to say, like, we are allowed to have confidentiality because this is an SH claim, and therefore it's so important that it must be secret. We must control and protect everyone. And then they're trying to say, look, all shield public certain documents, of course. She always tries to bold like the obvious. No one's disputing that there's certain obvious legal things that would be protected on both sides, but she just wants it to go even further, and it's maddening. So then she goes into here. She tries to claim here that discovery will have confidential documents or information of the public disclosure of which will cause harm to the producing person and our third party to whom duty of confidentiality is owed, and to protect against injury caused by dissemination of confidential documents information. The argument of who gets to decide what's confidential is very interesting, because a lot of this stuff, other cast members, Taylor Swift, have all been sort of inserted on this, thanks to you, Blake. And now it's gone against Justin, which Justin disputes and says that's not true. So when you get this information, or if your co-stars end up not supporting you, that all is private. And then what? We don't get to know that? No.
That separate filming arrangement didn't just divide the production physically. It completely transformed who called the shots. According to Freedman's explosive revelations, Blake Lively's producer credit wasn't merely a vanity title. It became her license to systematically seize control of the production, leaving Baldoni as director in name only. In Hollywood, producers typically handle business aspects such as financing, budgets, and logistics, not dictating creative decisions, which fall squarely under a director's purview. Freedman's latest allegations suggest Lively allegedly shattered these boundaries, effectively turning the set into her personal kingdom. Lively reportedly demanded daily rushes be sent directly to her private email before Baldoni had even reviewed them. Freedman stated that she would then send extensive notes criticizing camera angles, lighting choices, and performance directions, core responsibilities that belong exclusively to the director. Perhaps most shocking were claims regarding intimate scenes. Despite hiring a professional intimacy coordinator, Lively allegedly positioned herself as the ultimate authority. Freedman claims she repeatedly overrode both the coordinator and Baldoni's directions, dictating everything from camera placement to actors' physical positioning. My client repeatedly found himself in the extraordinary position of being told how to direct by the very person he was supposed to be directing, Freedman explained. When Baldoni attempted to reassert his creative vision, Lively reportedly reminded everyone within earshot that she had producer approval on the final cut. The alleged power grab extended beyond the set. Freedman claims Lively inserted herself into post-production meetings she wasn't scheduled to attend, making unilateral editing decisions that fundamentally altered Baldoni's vision for key scenes. When the editor presented Baldoni's preferred cuts, Lively allegedly demanded alternatives that highlighted her performance at the expense of the story's emotional impact. She reportedly contacted the composer directly to discuss musical cues without Baldoni, bypassing the traditional director-composer relationship. According to Freedman, the final score reflects Lively's preferences, not the emotional landscape Baldoni had mapped with the composer. Whispers of on-set tension leaked to entertainment journalists. Freedman claims Lively used her producer authority to control the narrative. She allegedly directed the publicity team to craft statements suggesting production was proceeding smoothly while restricting Baldoni's access to press opportunities that might contradict the narrative. When major outlets requested joint interviews, Lively's team cited scheduling conflicts while simultaneously booking solo appearances. Freedman stated this strategic isolation allowed her to shape public perception without contradiction. According to Freedman, the cumulative effect of these actions was the complete erosion of Baldoni's creative authority, transforming the production into an environment where Lively's control dominated every aspect of the filmmaking process, from set behavior to post-production, publicity, and even musical decisions, undermining of Baldwin's directorial authority by the final weeks of production. Freedman claims crew members were receiving conflicting instructions, official directions from Baldoni immediately followed by override messages from Lively's team, creating a chaotic environment where department heads didn't know whose vision to follow. Freedman claims his client effectively became a figurehead on his own set. In his most damning allegation, Freedman stated that while Baldoni's name appears as director in the credits, the final film reflects Lively's choices at nearly every critical juncture. She allegedly became the de facto director while maintaining the public-facing roles of actress and producer. These shocking claims aren't just Freedman's opinion. He asserts he has the receipts to back them up. Multiple sources close to the attorney reveal he's collected a substantial digital paper trail documenting exactly how the professional relationship between the stars deteriorated. While Lively's team publicly painted Baldoni as difficult to work with, Freedman claims his evidence tells a completely different story. According to insiders, he compiled an extensive archive of text messages exchanged between Lively and production team members. These messages allegedly show a dramatic shift in her tone over time. Early communications are collaborative and enthusiastic about Baldoni's vision, but by mid-production, she reportedly began using phrases like "my film" and "my vision" in virtually every exchange. Most damaging, Freedman claims, are production meeting notes capturing heated exchanges where Lively repeatedly challenged Baldoni's directorial choices. In one particularly explosive meeting following a crucial scene, the notes allegedly show Lively dismissing his input entirely, stating, "I know what audiences want to see in this moment, and it's not what you're suggesting." Freedman also referenced a series of late-night emails sent from Lively to production executives, crucially excluding Baldoni. These communications supposedly reveal her requesting private meetings with the editor and cinematographer, effectively creating a shadow directing team. One source claimed these emails show her orchestrating entire reshoot schedules without Baldoni's knowledge until everything was already arranged. Freedman's allegations extend to post-production. He references recorded Zoom calls where Lively allegedly overrode Baldoni's editing suggestions, including one meeting where she interrupted him 17 times in under 30 minutes. During another session, she reportedly told the editor, "Just go with my version. I know what works for my character better than anyone." Social media messages between Lively and her personal team may further illuminate a calculated strategy to position herself as the film's creative force while minimizing Baldoni's contributions. Freedman alleges she planned her solo press strategy months before the public was aware of any tension. What makes Freedman's claims particularly compelling is how they directly contradict the public narrative that emerged during promotional activities. While entertainment outlets speculated that Baldoni had created an uncomfortable environment, Freedman insists his evidence shows the exact opposite. "My client has been unfairly portrayed," Freedman allegedly told associates. When the full communication record comes to light, it will be impossible to maintain the fiction that he was the problematic party in this relationship. From contradictory instructions on set to private meetings, shadow directing, and overt control of post-production and press coverage, Freedman's compiled evidence paints a detailed picture of an alleged behind-the-scenes takeover by Lively. Crew members, from makeup artists to lighting technicians, reportedly observed the power struggle firsthand, providing written statements that corroborate his claims. According to Freedman, this meticulous documentation, from texts and emails to meeting notes and recorded Zoom calls, illustrates the complete erosion of Baldoni's authority, effectively making Lively the unseen director of the film while maintaining her star and producer persona publicly.
There's always been this theory that was put out there, I think partly by Justin's team smartly, but also because it was real. We're seeing a lot of these text messages between Justin and his editors that Blake stole the movie from him, that Sony allowed her to have final cut of his movie. This is a movie he got the rights to, a movie he directed, a movie that texts from him to Blake show that he's very collaborative and wants her to share her thoughts and feedback. And he was pushed out of the edit bay. Like literally could not see her cut before the premiere of the movie. Was also not really allowed to go to the premiere of his own movie because all of the cast said they're not going to be there with him, which to me, again, I think was because Blake made that happen and Blake started spreading this negativity about him throughout. That's what it seems like to me. And this now email that's been released in response to a glowing email they wrote about Blake to include her as a producer on the film. There is now a dated email from June of last year. So this was an older email basically saying the tone because they knew we got to explain ourselves and we can't keep pretending like this isn't an issue. Here's James, one of the producers of the film, saying, "Hey everybody, I'm writing you all regarding a letter that I wrote on behalf of Justin and myself addressed to the Producers Guild. As you know, we received a request to write a recommendation on behalf of Blake for her to receive the PGA mark and get a producer credit on the film. This was a request that we feel was unreasonable and cold-hearted. Essentially, the movie, It Ends With Us, had been taken unjustly from Justin as a director and essentially from Wayfair's control due to the extortion of Blake Lively. Without going into all the details of the events that have transpired over the months, Justin and I ended up agreeing to write the letter due to feeling trapped. She continues to hold a threat over our heads, and every time we try and hold a line, she uses that threat, either directly or indirectly, to get us to fold. Make no mistake, I am not suggesting that we were literally forced to acquiesce, but given the high profile of the movie, the partnership with Sony, the amount of money invested, and the need to complete the movie, we have written the letter on her behalf, omitting the truth of how and why she was able to contribute in the ways we listed. There is nothing to do with this letter now. It only serves as a way to memorialize why the letter was sent in the first place, should we ever need to explain it." So basically, she's using a threat indirectly, and holding it over their heads. Now, is that like, it sounds to me like, give it to me or else. Give it to me or else I'm going to go make those allegations. Give it to me or else, or you're never going to see your film again. Give it to me or I'm not going to promote this movie. I mean, either way, this sounds like this was forced on them. You better give it to me or else. And seeing some of the text messages, which again, we'll go through during the live, it is shocking how they were able to sort of just take control from this film. In fact, I don't want to tease it too much. These text messages show, they are showing, was supposed to be I'm uninvited. These texts, I don't think that's the actual one. There's so many of them. But as we go through these text messages, I talked earlier, agree we just couldn't be in the same room with Blake because of the premiere, because of all these issues. It would be hard for me to sit and watch the final film for the first time at the premiere, just to cheer when we see our names come up. Yeah, I haven't seen it either. Crazy times. So neither Justin and Blue, or the editors who are in the film were able to see or get access to the film before it was released. Blake stole the movie from him. That this is now coming out through the text and through the lawsuit. Now, it doesn't mean that Justin didn't do bad things himself or uncomfortable things. I don't know. I'm still really torn on all this. But I will say, as I've now gone through all of the evidence that Justin's provided, it leaves me with a lot of questions. A lot of questions such as Blake Lively not wanting to meet with the intimacy coordinator that Justin set up for her. I'm good. I don't need it. There's a bunch of stuff about her blocking these scenes with him earlier. So much of what Justin's texts are revealing absolutely start to crack the narrative that Blake Lively has put out, at least her team has put out, to try to save face. And I got to say, it makes Blake, in my opinion, look 10 times worse. I didn't really have much of an opinion on Justin Baldoni. I don't know the guy, never heard of the guy before. Didn't really care. And honestly, probably would have forgotten and moved on. He could have made his movies. And it looked like we were all just moving on. Blake got caught in a lot of her own bad press because of her own actions. And the fact that she's now trying to Jedi mind trick and gaslight us all into thinking, no, this was all done by Justin. It's not true. There's more text, as we'll go through this tomorrow, make sure you subscribe, showing that they had nothing to do with it. How now they're getting death threats. They provided a lot of evidence here that shows we don't want, oh my gosh, this stuff's crazy. It's gotten a little out of hand. I want to make sure no one thinks that we did this. It's pretty shocking. It's crazy. She doesn't have a good reputation. All this organic stuff from real people making TikToks. It's not bots. We had nothing to do with this. This is from his marketing team. And honestly, I believe it because I was in it. I was in it during that moment and I saw it because we were reporting on it. And I was reporting on it because it was so clear how much of a mean girl Blake Lively seemingly was. Now, I think there were multiple ways she could have solved it, but she refused to believe. And it seems like she refused because she thought Kirsty, the junket person, was working for Justin. And I just don't believe that's true at all. Kirsty's been out there so aggressively fighting for her integrity. And I just don't believe she's lying to us all. Really good write-up, and I think it was Variety or Hollywood Reporter anyway, that was defending her. The fact that the New York Times wrote that piece attempting to imply that Kirsty was involved is shameful on them. She absolutely.
As It Ends With Us finally hits theaters, the off-screen drama has completely overshadowed the on-screen story. Bryan Freedman's shocking revelations have peeled back the curtain on what could be Hollywood's most captivating feud of the year. What began as a fairy tale collaboration between two stars adapting a beloved novel has spiraled into a cautionary tale of power struggles and creative control. The central question now isn't about ticket sales or critical reception. It's about who audiences will believe. Will they side with the polished, picture-perfect Blake Lively they've adored for years? Or will these bombshell allegations tarnish the golden image she spent her career cultivating? The carefully constructed persona that made her America's sweetheart is facing its most severe test. Hollywood has never been stranger behind the scenes, but this feud is exceptional in its transparency. Rarely do we witness such an unfiltered descent from collaborative colleagues to bitter adversaries. What sets this situation apart is its public nature, with a high-powered attorney revealing all the backstage drama for the world to scrutinize. When the credits finally roll, the most compelling story may not be the one on the screen, but the explosive narrative that unfolded when the cameras weren't even rolling, exposing a power struggle, creative clashes, and personal tensions that captivated the industry and fans alike.